Hello, this is Becca from Willow Hill Designs and welcome. Today I will be sharing prompt number 8, which is trim. I think it's prompt 8. Yes, trim for the Roxy's Journal of Stitchery, Volume 8. And the project is Gathered Things for a Quilt or a Coverlet. And I'm just coming in under the wire. Today is Sunday. I'm just getting in. It's been a busy couple of weeks here. Last weekend and this, we've had 4 birthdays, 2 grandsons, one turning 6, one turning 2, and our twins' birthday. So there's been a lot between baking and cooking and shopping and wrapping. I haven't had a whole lot of time to work on this prompt. But I'd like to share where I am anyway so far. And at the end of this video, I would also like to share some heartfelt feelings. Because it's my channel, I feel that it's fine to share these feelings. And of course, if you would like to move on after what I've shared, that's perfectly fine too. To go on to the next video to watch whatever it is that you are interested in. But I'll just take a few minutes at the end of this video to share some, to me, some important feelings. But anyway, we'll move on today with the prompt for trim. And I didn't have a trim really that I felt that would go with this kind of a vintage looking quilt. And so I decided that I would make a trim. All the trims that I had really were more modern looking, or I don't know, kind of Victorian maybe, or anyway, they just didn't seem to go in with that vintage 30s, 40s, 50s look to me. So I thought I would make a trim. And what I did was I took a piece of, I don't know if it's eyelet lace. Let's see. I have a piece of it here, and it's just this kind of a plain lace. I don't know if you would call it eyelet. There's no eyelets in it, but it is a lace trim of sorts, or a trim, decorative trim. So I took that, and I decided that I suppose I should move this needle. Take this needle out of here, put it to the back. Let's just move this to the back so it's not distracting. And so what I did was to just kind of sketch some flowers in here, some stems of flowers, and just did some little leaves with lazy daisy stitches, and then just a few little straight stitches off of the lazy daisy flowers, lazy daisy as well. And drew some hearts here. This space kind of, I thought, called for hearts. And so I just I cut out a heart. You know how you fold paper in half and cut it out? That's what I did. And traced that with my friction pen. And then I just drew some lines going across here. And all I did for these cross pieces was just to come up at one end and go down at the other. So just laying straight stitches across, and you can tell they're kind of wobbly and imperfect, but I guess that's what hand stitching is. It's not quite perfect. So I went in one direction with the long stitches and another the opposite kind of direction, almost I guess at right angles. Yeah, I guess it would be right angles. And then I just tacked down, if you can see there in between where the 2 threads crossed, just did a little tacking stitch there just to hold those threads in place. So for each of these little hearts, and the outside of the heart is an outline stitch or a stem stitch. So all 3 hearts are done the same way with the outline stitch, and then these long straight stitches that were couched, I guess you might say, couched or tacked down. This is outline stitch as well, or stem stitch. Down here is kind of an elongated lazy daisy in pink. And then there was kind of a little stitching here that produced some little holes. And so I decided to go along that stitching with a red thread. Kind of, again, trying to tie the colors in with all of the other little blocks that I'm making. And then lastly, I did a running stitch along this curve, because this is a scalloped edge on this trim. And I just did a running stitch in blue, same blue that is in the flowers here, along this edge. And then I decided to add a lace of my own on here. So there's a satin stitch on this lace along the edge. And I decided I would add something, but I didn't want to crochet where I made holes along this curved edge. I just thought I would use my needle and thread, and that's what I did. And I will show you the basics of it. It's really very easy, and it does produce a very lacy kind of effect. And truthfully, there's really no set pattern to this. This was just something that I came up with on the fly. So you could choose to change it up in any way that you liked. But what I basically, oops, sorry, hit the camera. Basically what I did was I did a blanket or a buttonhole stitch along the edge of this trim in white. And so that is what is here on this little felt example that I'm using. And what I chose to do on that piece and on this one was to skip. Put some knots in here, skip, knots, skip, and so on. I chose to skip one space. You could skip two. You could do it really however you like. And so what I would do is just take the eye end of my needle, not the point, because it would kind of catch, but the eye end, and just bring it under that buttonhole stitch, the cross leg up at the top, and make a loop coming through. And this really will set the tone for your little kind of spaces here. These are your spaces. So depending on how much you pull tight or leave it quite big, you can regulate that. I found as I went along, I kind of stumbled on this. And so once I would make my loop, I would just take again the eye end of the needle and put it through from the front, coming through from the front, to make a little knot, basically, just like this. And again, pull it to where you think that that's a good little space here that you're leaving. Again, take the eye end coming from the back, put it through that leg of the buttonhole, coming from the front, go through your loop. And I tried not to let the loop twist too much. If you have to untangle your thread every so often, that's fine. And again, coming from the back, up from the bottom, or from the back side, and here's our loop, and our little loop wants to twist here, and going from the front through our loop. And with your left thumb, if you're right-handed, with your left thumb, I put some tension on this thread so it doesn't pull through and get tight. So these knots, I'm leaving them rather loose. You don't want to pull it up really tight, or at least I didn't. So that's 3 little knots. You can do 3, you can do 4. We'll do one more, we'll do 4. And again, I put my thumb there just to keep tension so that doesn't pull tight and make a tight knot. We just kind of want loops that look like crocheted, maybe chains. And then again, just pull. And then I would skip one space and come to the next one. Again, this is my pattern of, you can choose to skip however many you want or not skip. And again, I would come in from the back under that leg, that top leg that goes across the buttonhole, and this loop, you would kind of tension it to where you wanted it to be. Maybe that looks good there. Bring your eye end through the front, essentially making kind of a little knot, but not tightening that knot. And just bring it over a bit. And I like that spacing there, seems to work for me. And again, I would just bring it from the back, put my thumb on those threads to put some tension on them so they don't tighten down. Come through the front, pull, make a little loop, and this would be 3, and come through the front and just pull up that thread so that you're getting these loops, and don't tighten them down too much. And you can just let your thread go if it seems to be, sometimes it gets a little bit tangled, and I would just pull the needle just to kind of let it relax a little bit. Fix this, there's something going on here. We'll just pull that and just kind of let the thread relax. And then again, one more, that would be 4 in this one. And just put it from the back, come through. There's your loop. Coming from the front, the eye end of the needle through, and pull up your loop. And again, you would move on, skip, and come again to the next one. And just keep going across the row that way, and tension this loop here to kind of where you'd like it. Come through the front, slide it over a bit, and you can always pull up on it a tiny bit if you think it needs it. Hopefully you can see that okay. And then I would just continue on. And what I did on my little piece there is went across the row. I'll just finish these few little stitches here. 3. And again, I'm just choosing these numbers randomly. You could choose to put 5 stitches in, 2 stitches, whatever you feel according to the scale of your project. And again, it helps to keep some tension on that thread so your loop, your previous loops don't draw up too tightly into a knot. So that's what it looks like. And I would go all the way across, and then I would come back, and then I would put my 4 little knots in the spaces that I left. So I would go here and here and here and here. And you can do that as many times as you would like, back and forth. So it's kind of an easy way to create a lacy look, but without crochet. And again, I could have used a stiletto and made holes, and then, you know, drew up my threads, and then make a chain across, and or slip stitches across, and then so on. But I chose not to do that. I didn't want to make holes in this fabric. So this is, let's see if I can get that needle. Let's see if I can put this red under it. You might see it a tiny bit better. So this is what this looks like. And I tell you truly, there was no rhyme or reason to this. I just kind of went through and felt my way through it. No grand design in mind, and it worked out. So I'm continuing across this row, and it's the same thing on this little tiny piece. I would do one more here. On this one, I'm taking the eye end of the needle, bring it through, and create my loop. And again, draw that loop up so that you kind of gauge it to the space that you would like. And do 3 or 4. Sometimes I did 3, sometimes I did 4. It just depended on what I thought looked best for that little space and what it needed. I think I'm just going to do 3 on that one. I think that'll be fine. And then again, I would come over to the space here, this little space, if you can see it. Come in from the back, come up, and kind of gauge my loop, my first loop there. Come in from the front and draw it up where I thought it might be a good length. Just move that over a tiny bit, and then proceed on with your stitches. 2, and we'll just let our thread kind of dangle and untangle a little tiny bit there. Come in from the back, go through the front. This one I might put 4 because there's a little bit longer distance between this and this. So I might put one more here, like that. So that's what we just formed right here. And then again, I would come into this space. Again, gauging my little loop, putting my needle through the front, and you can adjust according to how you think you would like it, and continue making your little loops. It's really, it goes quite quickly. It's fun. Well, I enjoyed it anyway. It may, probably doesn't take much to entertain me, but make sure our loop isn't twisted. And so I would continue to go across this little piece in this space and in this space. And I did that, I think I did, this is my 3rd round on this. So that's what it looks like. And it gives you a cute little lacy look. And I won't finish going across that. I'll pop this in the back. And I just did a running stitch on the top here to join this to my little canvas, and I'll trim this edge off on the back. I'll trim that off. And I will leave this not tacked down for the time being because I will be adding more to this block as we go. I kind of really was tempted to add this. I just think those colors go so nicely. That needle will probably prevent me from adding that, so I'll just, but I mean, I just thought maybe something like that might look pretty. But again, I don't know what will be added on here. Maybe something like that would look nice on this one, and maybe not. Maybe it would be something different. Put my needle up there. So that's what I did for trim this week. I just decided to do my own handmade trim because I just didn't have anything that would go with these little vintage blocks here, I felt anyway, that would kind of go with all of them, with the look of them, that vintage sort of look. So hopefully this trim finds its way comfortably into these blocks. So that's my offering for this week. As far as inherited or gift, I don't know where I will be going with that yet. And now if you would like to click off to the next video, that's certainly fine too. I just, at this time, would like to express my sadness at what occurred in our country, in the USA, this past week, actually right on my mother's birthday, September 10th. Charlie Kirk was assassinated politically, and a martyred really. And you know, it boggles the mind when you think that someone's life would be snuffed out because you don't agree with their beliefs or their ideology. It's beyond my comprehension. And I'm not saying that Charlie Kirk's life is any more valuable than the young girl from Ukraine that came here for a safer life, the children the Christian children who were gunned down, I mean, all senselessly. And it becomes very clear to me that this is a battle not between man and man. This is a battle between principalities, good and evil. And Charlie stands out, I think, from what I've seen all over the world. People are mourning the heartbreak of this young person who chose to go to campuses to reach young people, to listen to their views willingly, to hear them out, and then present biblical principles to these young people, and to maybe say, well, there's another way to think about things as well. Never violent, never hateful, and yet a faction, I'm guessing, was behind this person. Thought it was their right to snuff out his life, to remove him from his wife's life, his children's lives that will grow up never knowing their father, his parents' lives. It has shaken my family to the core, just pure evil and senseless. But I think what's important here, not to say he's any more, it's any more tragic what happened to him than the others I've mentioned, and so many others, countless others, is that what he was trying to do was good. It was a good thing to teach biblical principles. I mean, there's just no hatred in that. It's just a plan left by God, a blueprint left by God for us to live by, that if we loved one another and we did good to our enemies, I'm sorry, my children are probably texting me, if we did good to our enemies, this would never have happened. So I just want to express my heartache, sadness. I'm sure if you're a praying person, a Christian, you're praying for his wife and his children and his family and his friends, and all those that lost their lives senselessly, the young girl, the children. I pray that we have a better world comes from this, that we would love one another and try to do good to our enemies. So thank you for indulging me in that. It's just something on my heart. As I said, our family has been shaken to the core. My oldest grandson is so disturbed by this and upset. He's heartbroken because he listened to him every day. And what are the answers? What answers can we give them? It's senseless and it's evil. But we go on, and we hope that in some way we take up the mantle and we try to make a difference and help people as best we can and love one another. But anyway, thank you for indulging me, and I'm wishing you many blessings today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye for now.